what has happened? I come to that. The people must hold themselves in the African culture of I am because we are. You don't stand alone. You are not I, it's we. Because it is we together. Ubuntu, that's the word, the best word in South African language that puts it. So at all levels and in all walks of life, we must have leaders, particularly in the political and governance sectors, whose character and attributes are as strong, commendable, and wholesome as recommended for members of the community as earlier described. What is it? Attribute of love, attribute of we are together, attribute of whatever concerns you concerns me, attribute of we, attribute of community. We talk of communality, not communism, communality. And that is the way that we have what makes us together. You have a share. I have a share. Leaders must also have these attributes. Leadership matters most and is the greatest and gravest ingredients of ending poverty, hunger. Before dwelling further on this all-important issue of leadership, there must be established or created a system and conditions that are suitable, a system and environment that are suitable for performance and achievement by the leader and his or her team. There must be the leader. Yes, we need the leader to achieve, but the condition must be provided, must be appropriate, must be suitable for the leader and his or her team to be able to perform. Because the condition and the situation are not so conducive, performance will be very adversely affected. Let us now consider the leadership issue, which is a very paramount issue in all human affairs, starting from the family, leadership matter, community, leadership matter, in the market, leadership matter, in the church, leadership matter. There is no human organization that does not cry for leadership, but more particularly in the political affair. Because politics is the master. Everything that we do, politics is the master. So what we need, who is a leader? Maxwell, a great expert on the issue of leadership, simply described a leader as an influencer. Then who, therefore, is a leader? Everybody, in one form or the other, is a leader. Because you can influence. You can influence. So, first, we have attribute. We have what God has endowed us with, which must be developed. And then that development in terms of education empowers, and that development also makes you be an effective or a bad leader, depending on the attributes that you take along with it, because of you can influence. Let's now consider leadership nurture. How is leadership nurtured, prepared, and inculcated for continued good influence, and like Jesus Christ, going about doing good. And at political level, good governance through good leadership. Since I have made reference to Jesus Christ, as it is said of him, you will kindly permit me to use example of Jesus Christ, who was unmatchable, exemplary leader. First, his birth was not shrouded in secrecy, lies, and untruth. We know his mother. We know his mother, Mary, his father, his earthly father. They didn't make anything about it, and how he came to be born. It was all put for us. The circumstances of his birth, and we know him as Jesus of Bethlehem, even the village where he was born. We know of his childhood. At the age of 12, we are given his growth and development up to the age of 30 years, when he commenced his mission. A leader's life and history must be an open book. I told you about this thing. I don't know how I decided to use it, but I will get there. You just have to exercise patience. This is the first time I will do this, but I will not do it again. Okay. Yeah, I was just trying to prove to you that I'm not as illiterate as people may think I am in using computer. But I've now found that I've messed it up again. Well, I'm talking of leadership and a leader as an influencer. So a leader can influence for good and can influence for ill. A leader can influence for good and can influence for ill. He can lead well or he can lead badly. So what then do we need to do to ensure that we have oh no, I've got it. What then do we need to do to make sure that we get it right? First, we must ensure that there's no lack of education. Lack of education for a child gives that child every high probability of being abjectly poor and falling into hunger trap. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, let me conclude on my strong conviction and equally on strong warning. With integrity, discipline, good governance, elimination of corruption and waste, Nigeria can get rid of abject poverty and chronic hunger within a decade and a half. We have 24 million children that should be in school that are not in school. 24 million out of 244 in the world. We have 10% of the world children that should be in school that are not in school. If we are going to talk of eliminating hunger and abject poverty, we must get all those children into school. And as I said, I believe we do it well. In 15 years, we can get our population almost 100% educated in 15 years. But to do that, you need the right leadership. And if we have that, as I said, good governance, elimination of corruption and waste, Nigeria can get rid of abject poverty and chronic hunger within a decade and a half. If China can do it, China lifted 700 million people. I have been in China. I've been in their rural area where I live with the poor people who, in winter, for heating their rooms, is the cooking that they allow the smoke to go under their bed. That's how they heat their room. But within a space of 15 years, China lifted 700 million people out of poverty. So we can achieve that if all things are equal. And as I said, if China can do it, we can do it. We have human and non-human materials to banish poverty and hunger from Nigeria. But what applies to Nigeria applies to almost all other countries in Africa. Nigeria should have no business with poverty and abject poverty and hunger. God has not made that our Lord. Rather, it is the conscious and unconscious choice of Nigerian leaders. And this is no different from any other African country in similar situation. That situation must be changed. Now comes the strong warning. If we don't take up